Falmouth Ice Arena, 1-0 lead for Austin Prep over the Duxbury Dragons. Jake Levin here with Trevor Haas, a man who wears many hats, most notably for the Duxbury Clipper, the hometown paper in Duxbury since 1950. Do I have that right?
How did you know that?
Give or take, I don't know. I respect
the little things we know.
I respect local journalism, and as well as a correspondent of the Boston Globe. So, Trevor, you know Duxbury inside and out. And
I try to.
Very exciting first period for the Dragons. I don't think that's necessarily their style of play, this up and down the ice. I think they like to defend a little bit more, but they're down 1 through first period. And what have you seen from them that they might need to correct?
Yeah, I think that was the kind of period where it really could have been worse. It could be 2 or 3 right now, but they kind of regrouped after that little miscue. I think, like you said, Austin Prep kind of flies up and down the ice, which I think will favor them ultimately in this game. But Duxbury, you know, they're playing their game eventually, and they're kind of getting their style and kind of working it more back toward their favor. So we'll see what happens. I feel like they could tie it up eventually. Who knows? Trevor
Haas, Duxbury Clipper. 18-3 are the Dragons. My personal opinion, I think they've already done enough to earn that Super 8 bid, regardless of what happens the remainder of this game. I mean, a win over Austin Prep, and it's not even close.
Right.
What do they need to do, I guess, or let me phrase it this way. With a win over Austin Prep, is that enough to not only be in, is that enough to get a bye and avoid that play-in round?
I think it's definitely possible. I feel like they've done enough. They've won a bunch of big games, including Zavarian, which is still their best win of the year.
Right.
I mean, that kind of speaks for itself. If you beat Zavarian, you're really good. So 18-3, like you said, I think if they do win this game, you know, they will get that bye. If they tie, who knows? If they lose, they probably won't. So a lot to play for in the last regular season game, which is pretty fun for the players.
Probably competing with Framingham for that number 6 spot right now. The first 5 feel fairly set in stone, and no particular order: BC High, Pope Francis, Hingham, Arlington, and then Austin Prep. And you know, Duxbury win could certainly throw things for rut here. So Rich McClone and I were discussing on the broadcast how many key players for the Dragons are only juniors and how theoretically they might be even better next year. What do you think about this junior class for the Dragons? That Tanner Smith, Ben Cheney, and Zach Stewart line, all juniors.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think a lot of the top kids in the past have left to go on to, you know, play at prep schools, which is obviously, you know, they do their own thing, and that's great for them. But I think a lot of these kids have chosen to stay. They kind of embrace the Duxbury way. So I think, like you said, it's a really strong class. And lots of talent this year. Who knows how far they go, but the future might even be brighter, so we'll see what happens.
Goaltender Steve Pisani, only a junior. Nate Romanelli, a senior. Duxbury, one of these unique teams across the state. I guess not unique. Plenty of teams try it, but only a select few can really perfect it. Have a 2-goalie rotation and be in contention for the Super 8. This was written about in the Boston Globe a few weeks ago. You know, a little selling point. I wrote that.
I heard it was terrible, actually.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing, too. Awful. How do you think this plays in the locker room when you don't really know who the goalie is going to be on a nightly basis, but you know that you're going to have an excellent one, whether it's Pisani or Romanelli?
Right, I think that's the thing about this is that it's not really just, you know, favorites. It's not like John Blake is playing favorites here. It's really two great goalies who are honestly very even on paper. I mean, I don't know enough about the nuances of hockey and goaltending to really determine who's better, but just from the eye test and watching them, you know, 10 times this year, I think they're pretty even. I think that kind of makes things interesting, and they're always pushing each other, so that helps.
They each had a 1.10 goals against average entering play on Saturday, so Romanelli's has gone up a little bit since then, but so is Pisani's, I guess. So they're just set on being even. 3 shutouts apiece for the Dragons, total of 6 shutouts. So, Trevor, what is your prediction? Where does this Duxbury team wind up, and what is their ceiling in this postseason, whether that's a Super 8 or the Division I South?
I don't know. I think I'll be kicked out of town if I tell you my honest answer. I'm just kidding. No, they're really talented. They're a great team. I think they have the talent in place to go really far. Who knows what happens to hockey? Anything can. So.
All right, he's Trevor Haas, Duxbury Clipper. You can follow him on Twitter at Trevor Haas. It's Hass, correct?
It is.
All right. See, I know what year your newspaper was founded. I know how to spell your last name.
I'd rather you know my last name than the newspaper, but at least you know both.
Trevor Haas, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him. Great follow for not just all things Duxbury. Also does some things with Boston.com, the very successful pro teams in town, and you know, a million other places seemingly. So, Trevor, thank you for coming on, and I'll catch you in the post-game scrum with Blake.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Trevor Haas here. So we're going to take a break. Be back in about 2 minutes here at Falmouth Ice Arena for second period action. Austin Prep leads Duxbury 1-0 The shorthanded goal scored by Doug Russo, pardon me, Joe Salamini, about 4 minutes into regulation.